Hey, it's Rachel. It's Rachel Kohler Dog Training, and I'm here with Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training. We are here for our weekly Q&A. This is Q&A 16. Can you believe that?
No.
Oh,
When
I
you
can't.
doing the math, like we've done over 150 questions, that's insane.
Crazy.
It doesn't feel like it.
I remember when we did our first one.
Back in your room.
Back in
From
Rhode
your
Island.
intern.
Oh my gosh, crazy.
Good times. On
Yeah,
your or on your yellow couch.
yes, it was a nice mustardy, barfy yellow, and
Yeah.
I really kind of loved it because it was so ugly. It was so ugly. It was nice. I loved it. But yeah, ready to dive in on our 16th Q&A?
Ready.
All right.
Okay, my first couple questions are super long, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay, question 1.
Wait, hold on.
My
I'm going to
dog-
get a notepad just to be safe.
Okay.
I know. Should have been prepared. Okay.
Okay, my dachshund is scared of everything, but most recently she started not wanting to go outside. What can I do for her? She runs from me if I try to put her collar on, and if I open the door, she runs away.
Okay. So, dachshund's scared of everything. Recently scared to go outside. Runs away when you try to put the collar on, and opens the door. She runs away.
Yeah, because I guess instead of putting the collar on, they just try to open the door and let her run out, but she won't even do that. She'll run away.
Runs away from the door, like to go hide.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like run away. I was like, well, don't open the door for her to run away. Okay.
She won't go outside.
All right, let me think. So there's a lot of things I want to say. So it's mainly when there's issues of like fear and anxiety or aggression or resource guarding or whatever, I always want to look at the root. So the answer is not going to be usually very simple, because by giving your dog structure and guidance and boundaries throughout the day, it's going to help with a lot of things. But that being said, I can't sit here and like tell you like do a full training course, do this, do that, and do the other. But like, so problem solving for this one thing. Okay, so scared of everything. So as far as her running away when you put her leash and collar on, I would maybe suggest just keeping that on. And I want you to be able to like supervise her so she's not getting tangled and stuff in the house. But if you've got her dragging her leash and her collar or like even a harness, whatever, I don't care for like a little dachshund, as long as you've got something attached to her, then we're going to avoid that. I'm going to chase you, put it on your collar game. You could do counter conditioning for all of that too. But having that leash and collar on is going to help with a lot of things. So when she would usually go run away, we're going to stop that because I don't want you to continue practicing that behavior of running away. With her being scared of things too, crate training her would probably be super beneficial for her, so she can feel secure in her crate. And then maybe you take her out for a potty time. I'm trying to think, because like I'm trying to think of like outside of the box answers, you know, Susan, because I'll usually just be like, with a scared dog, the more training you can do for them, the more guidance you can give them as the owner, the more confident they're going to be.
Right.
So if at all possible, yeah, I would recommend training your dog and getting a solid recall and building their confidence through place command and through heeling them out the door or recalling them to you. But as like a simpler fix, I would just have her wear the leash and collar and be supervised by you, so she doesn't get like tangled or anything. But then you just pick up the leash and you would just walk outside. Like, so she might put on the brakes, but we're just going to go outside because you have to go outside to go potty. And then you're out there supervised with her, right? So nothing scary happens and she runs and hides, and then her fear of outside increases. One thing I tell my clients with scared dogs is I say it's not so scary, right? So not necessarily to the dog, but like reminding ourselves, like it's not so scary, so you don't need to be act scared. When I have the leash and collar on you, going outside, it's not so scary. We're just gonna go outside, right? I'm not gonna baby talk you. I'm not gonna like coddle you for being scared of silly things. We're just gonna do it. And then again, that's step one. I would recommend training and confidence building and all that stuff. But I tried to make that a short answer, and then it ended up not being one. But yeah, that would kind of just be my go-to to start. What do you think, Susan? And then of course, okay, sorry. Then of course there's lots of like confidence building and like other things you can do and like counter conditioning, so like feeding her outside or doing like things like that. But just like the first thing I would do is pretty much keep leash and collar on her and crate trainer.
Right.
But what do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
think if you want to see a true transformation, maybe hit one of us up for more detailed answer because we can't give a complete in-depth answer. But if you want to see a
Even
true
though I try.
transformation, no, you really do. But if you want to see a true transformation, you do kind of similar to like my board and train program. So her day is going to be really structured now. She's going to be in the kennel, come out just to work and go potty, go back in the kennel. So it'd be very structured for her. Because when she's out loose in the house, left to her own devices, she's going to do things that reaffirm her nervous behavior, like hiding under something or running away from a noise. So keeping her structured will really help. If you don't have the time for that and or the money to do a program such as that, I would do crate training, teach her the place command, and work on counter conditioning the collar as a minimum. So what that means is she's in the kennel, like regularly throughout the day based on your schedule. But let's say she's in it for 3 hours at a time. And then when she comes out, you work on the place command. So you get her used to that so that you can hold her accountable for things that she's scared of. So if she's scared of like noises, you can have her on place and make her hold a place and desensitize her to those noises. And then use her daily food for training. So daily food for place command and then also counter conditioning, putting her collar on. So that's what I would do. But it is a more in-depth question because nervous, fearful dogs take a lot of work to really see them like come out of their shell.
Yeah, I think your answer is really good. Like you told me that, and as soon as I heard that, my brain just went like, of like so many thoughts and ideas because, you know, I've had a lot of the nervous, fearful dogs recently, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's like so much that goes into it. But that's not to say you can't help your dog without doing a full training course. So I think the things that you touched on were super awesome.
Good.
So yeah. But yeah, like Susan said, if you want to reach out to either one of us for any more details on that situation, I'm sure either one of us would be happy to talk that through with you some more. Right?
Yeah.
All right. On to question number 2. What order should I train my dog their obedience commands?
Any order you want, really. There's no true right or wrong way. You know, any training is awesome and beneficial. What order do I train dogs in? So I do 7 commands. The first one I touch on is sit, because most dogs, by the time they get to me, they kind of have a basic understanding of that, so I can kind of develop a relationship. It's one of the easier things to teach. Then I'll transition to my down command, because I start with the dog in a sit and then I'll lower them down. So I'll do sit, down. Now, because they can hold it, like they can be down on the floor, I'll do place, because place means go on this thing and lay down. And then after that, it's up to you. Like, you know, I might throw recall in there, but I'm not going to do place until I do down, because place has a down in it. So that's the only one that I would probably say don't start off teaching place unless that's the only command you're going to teach, kind of thing. But, you know, like to make it easier on the dog, start with down.
Right.
But other than that, like you can do them in whatever order you want. What about you?
So question just for like clarification for a few people. When you train, like you're starting with sit and then you move on, do you fully train a sit and then do you fully train down and then you fully train place, or like you start some of them and...
So if you were training your own dog, you're living with them. So like with my board trains, you know, they live with me. I'll have maybe, let's say, 5 training sessions a day. The first session is going to be a sit session. And then I personally don't work on sit until they have it, like in one day. So I'm not going to do all 5 sessions as sit. So I'm going to do sit probably the first session, maybe do it the second session. Now we're going to try it down. And then we're going to, so I probably stick to like 2 to 3 commands a day when they're first learning.
Fair.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that because I didn't want anyone to think that like, okay, I'm teaching my dog sit, so I can only focus on this. Um, as long as like, especially in the beginning, I like to make sure we're only working on one thing at a time as much as possible. The way I do things, it's a little
Like in
different.
one session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In one session. So the way my sessions work is I'm there for an hour, 3 times a week. So I have to work on more than one thing at a time, but I always want to make sure there's a break in between. So even if that's just we're working on sit and then we take a little 5 minute break and I can pet you and we can readjust and then we'll maybe instead of working right here, I'm going to work on this side of the deck. Now we're going to work on downs. So you can work on different commands, but in the beginning, you're going to want to make sure you give your dog time to like kind of relax and then reset into the next command. But they, and then as you progress in training and your dog understands the commands more, then you can start chaining them together. So you can literally do sit and then down and then recall and then place. But in the beginning, you want to keep it to, like Susan said, like a couple commands a day, like 2 or 3 a day, right? But in your separate sessions and make sure they're like not going to confuse the commands.
Right.
But yeah, like, and then that goes for like, because it's just made me think like tricks too. Like I'm working on 4 different tricks with Gaia, I think. Now I work on them in separate sessions. So in the beginning, when a dog is learning something, they can be learning a bunch of different things at one time. Doesn't matter the order, but work on them like in their individual sessions.
Right.
What I wanted to touch on.
And then once the dog gets to a point where you can say the word and they do it reliably, that's when you can start mixing them together, whether it be commands or tricks. But until you get that reliable verbal control, don't mix them. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to go off of, right? I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as the order, and then one more thing to touch on it, just because you mentioned place. I wouldn't do that until you've like taught your dog how to like lure into a down or whatever. Also like recall. Our recalls, or at least I think yours is the same, right? You have to come to me and plant yourself. So it's usually come to me and sit, or come to me. I don't care if you lie down, but plant yourself. So you want to make sure your dog's going to understand if they get to you, if they don't sit or down, you want to be able to like help them out. But that's just like one little extra tidbit.
Yeah. So you would
usually starting
before you recall.
Right. So usually if you start with sit or down, because like you said, most dogs like have a kind of understanding of them. Sits and downs might be incorporated into other commands. So if you have those first, I don't know, it's usually best. But if you don't, like if you go straight to training your dog, whatever, then they can learn this fine. But,
yeah. Okay. Your next long question.
All right.
My 4-year-old rescue Chihuahua bites my husband when he tries to pick her up. She's fine when I pick her up, though. How can I get her to let him pick her up as well?
Okay. So I have a few thoughts, and I don't know how they're gonna sound. So, okay. My first thought is, how is your Chihuahua with your husband the rest of the time? Are they fine like all the other time? Like, does she ever go after him in any other situation? I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, Susan.
I do not.
Okay, so the Chihuahua, we're gonna just pretend because it wasn't mentioned, doesn't bite the husband or go after the husband in any other situation. Might be an unpopular opinion, but my first thought is kind of like, can we respect the dog a little bit because maybe she doesn't want to be picked up. Now again, that's super popular opinion because as far as like you don't get to bite people, like that being said, like you just don't get to bite people. But like just because it's a small dog doesn't mean they want to be manhandled. But again, for like vet purposes and desensitization purposes and just the fact that you're not gonna like bite people, we want to take care of it. But I do want to be fair, and even though we want to work through this, let's just think about your dog and advocate for them a little bit. Maybe they just don't like to be picked up. Maybe they tolerate it from you because maybe you have corrected them somehow in the past or showed them somehow in the past that, hey, you can't bite me. And maybe the husband hasn't done that, but your dog just might not like being picked up. So I did want to just throw that out there before I even get to addressing it, to let's advocate for them because, I mean, I'm not a little dog person. I love all dogs, but I've never owned like a little dog. But I don't think it's fair to assume that just because they're little, they want to be manhandled. Like, I could pick Gaia up if I wanted to. I have because I wanted to see if I could. But like she's a bigger dog, so she doesn't get picked up all the time. So for a little dog to have like these big people come and like scoop them up all the time, could probably be kind of scary. So I did just want to throw that out there. Let's maybe advocate for her, but emergency situations or at the vet or whatever, or just for the fact that we don't get to bite people. How I would address that is assuming the Chihuahua has no issues with the husband any other time, right? I guess I would probably do some counter conditioning with him first. So I want to make sure even she's fine with the husband just petting her. So like, here's a pet, here's some food. Here's a pet, here's some food. And honestly, I would just pick up the Chihuahua maybe after you like work with her some. I'm just guessing here. I haven't had this situation before. I would go and like pick up the Chihuahua, and the Chihuahua bites. I would mark it with no, and then we have to follow through. We have to have meaning. So I would probably go for like a bonker. So I would probably make like a smaller bonker for a Chihuahua. Go to pick you up, you bite me, no, bonk. Now again, is that super fair because like I'm holding you captive? I don't know. It just feels really weird to me. But you still don't get to bite people because like, what if there's an emergency and I got to pick you up?
Right.
I don't know. I have kind of mixed feelings about this season. But I mean, you could just correct the biting. You could just be like, no, bonk, just like I would with a nail trim. Like, you don't like your nails being trimmed. You don't like me touching your feet, but I have to. And also, okay, one more thing, and then I want to hear what you think, because I'm kind of like, you kind of threw me off guard with this one. My other thing is, what does it look like when you're picking up the dog? So, hold on one second, because I have this, so I might as well use it. This is my dog.
Big Chihuahua.
So, it is. It's kind of big. It needs to go on a diet. So are you just picking up the dog and like holding it, I guess, respectfully, like you would hold a Chihuahua? I don't know. Or are you like, oh my God, they love me so much, and like really invading your dog's space? Mm-hmm. That's another thought. So if you're gonna pick up your dog who already doesn't like to be picked up, I'd be really respectful about it, right? And this isn't like whatever. So there was another thought. Maybe like the wife's picking up the dog and holding it like this. Maybe the husband's trying to hold the dog like a baby or trying to like cuddle with him. So I would be aware of that. And counter conditioning, correct the biting. I don't know, Susan, what do you think? I feel like I've just rambled this nonsense because I don't know. Like my go-to would just be like, don't pick up the dog because he doesn't want to be picked up. But
I know. So
that's
my thought
in emergency situations.
Right. But so I was like, if this were a big dog, we'd be like, don't pick it up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if this was one of my dogs, or like Gaia, we'd be like, why are you picking the dog up? So my first thought was like, why are you picking it up? I think little dogs kind of get a disservice because they're so cute. Everyone wants to pick them up, right? Are you just picking it up to cuddle them?
Right.
Because like Rachel said, maybe they don't like it. But I do agree. You should be able to pick them up. You know, like at the vets, you have to pick them up to put them on the table. Or whatever, you have to pick them up. Right, just for safety purposes, maybe, whatever. Okay. But even then, I was like, do you really? Because you would never say that about, like, a German Shepherd, right? So you would just treat it the same. Like, why are we doing little dogs such a disservice by picking them up to get them out of situations? So by that, I mean,
that's why you get a lot of the, like, I'm not going to walk down these stairs because I can just be carried down these stairs.
Right. Or, like, okay, my thought was, well, what if you have to pick it up because there's a threat? Like some dog off leash, right? Mm-hmm. But I couldn't just do that with Sadie. Like I have to deal with it. So I can't just pick Sadie up. She has to deal with it. So I would put my dog into a position like down. And now I'm going to deal with the threat that's coming at us, which might be like a stray dog or whatever. But anyway.
I guess to be fair though, because just to play devil's advocate on like that conversation there though, I can see if there's a threat coming and you got a dog that you can pick up. I can see that. Because it's like, huh?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right. And like,
right.
And even with Gaia, so I'll admit, like I told you, I picked her up before, like, and when I say picked her up, like I was sitting on the ground and picked her up, and she was fine. I haven't like stood up and picked her up yet because she's kind of like a weirdo. Not that I think she would do anything. She's just super like nervousy dog, whatever. But I have thought, I'm like, what if I take her out hiking and she injures her foot or something, and now I'm in the middle of the woods and I have to carry her out of here. Now, luckily, I'm like a pretty strong person, so I could, but it's like, I have thought about that. But that is like a side note. But what else were you saying? So you got like my brain going crazy right now.
That's just the first thing. It's like, do you have to pick your dog up is question one.
Mhm.
So let's just be more mindful of like, are we letting our little dogs deal with things, or are we just picking them up for fun? So that's just something to keep in your mind. But B, yes, we should be able to pick up our dog and nothing happens. My first thought, because I tend to be sometimes like a human therapist when it comes to dog training, is did the little dog growl at the husband one time when he was picking her up and then he got nervous, and now every time he goes to pick her up he's actually really nervous, and then the dog picks up on that and bites him, whereas the wife is just like, I know nothing's going to happen, picks her up and it's fine.
Fix it up.
Yeah. So if you come at a dog like like all hesitant, oh yeah, they're going to bite you, right? So A, let's do this with more confidence and counter condition it.
Mhm.
So it's going to look really simple at first, like you're not doing a lot, but dogs think in pictures. So every time you go to pick up your dog, how are you doing it? Are you doing it like a scoop? Okay, so I'm going to have the dog sitting there. We're going to work with her daily food. Whatever she eats, which if it's Chihuahua, she's probably eating a quarter of a cup once a day, which is like nothing.
So it's going to
Okay,
be a slow process.
slow process, but like literally when you go to pick her up, you're going to be standing. You have her like in front of you. You'll do this and then say good and give her a reward. And now you'll just do this and bend down a little. Good, give her a reward. And you're slowly doing that picture of bending down to pick her up, but it's literally like slow motion.
It's like
Every
you're doing like a
step
stop motion picture. So like boop, 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 boop.
Right. So like every step of the way, good, treat. Bend down a little further, good, treat. And then by the time you're with her, you do this and you touch her, good, treat if she doesn't growl. Now, if she does growl at you, I would say no and bonk, or no and compressed air. Do this with the leash on so that she doesn't run away from you. You need to be able to follow through with your no. But so equal parts yes and no. We want to try to teach her what we do want, but in the process, if she growls, I'm sorry, that's not acceptable because you're not allowed to bite me. You're just not.
Right.
You have to punish it. So that's the easiest thing, is probably just counter condition it.
Right. I agree. Yeah, super agree with that. And then just because like why not make things more complicated, because that's what I do. In addition to that, because 100% do what Susan said with counter conditioning and then the correcting the growling. In addition to that, you can become more relevant to your dog. So, because as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, well, I don't practice picking up my dogs. I'm sure I could pick up Gaia and she'd be fine. But I haven't practiced it for that emergency situation. I haven't practiced it with Blue, but I'm relevant to them. I am like, they know like to respect me kind of. So like if I pick them up, they're just going to be like, okay, well, I guess you're picking me up now, right? Whereas like if a stranger came up and picked them up, they might be like, what the heck? So like maybe like doing training with this Chihuahua, you like the husband being the one to counter condition the dog, giving the food is already going to make him more relevant. If he does more with the dog throughout the day, that could also help, because now the dog's just going to be like, oh, I look up to you, I respect you, I trust you.
Right.
That was just another thought. But yeah, super awesome explanation of the counter conditioning for that. I really liked how you explained like the pictures of it.
Yeah, the stop motion picture. Yeah, it's great.
Liked it. That was a really in-depth question, Susan. I love it.
All right.
Did you just apologize? No.
No.
Awesome. So question 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Does my dog really need to wear all 3 collars? Prong collar, e-collar, and flat collar? Because that seems like a lot.
Depends on you and depends on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't lead by example, right? No, my dogs, when they're in the house, just have their e-collars on.
Mm-hmm.
They are microchipped, and I feel very comfortable that they will come to me if something was silly would happen, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're outside, something crazy spooks them, well, they wouldn't run off. They just wouldn't. Mm-hmm. They just wouldn't, because I'm that relevant to them. But it depends on you and your situation. So is your dog off-leash trained? Then maybe just have their regular collar and their e-collar on to err on the side of caution, because I don't know your training style and I would hate to not have the regular collar on. They get away from you and can't be found, or they're found but can't be reunited with you. So if you have your regular collar and your e-collar, you can have your off-leash reliability. But then also if something silly happens and they get found, your identification is on the dog, so it can get linked back to you. Are you doing on-leash work though? Are you transitioning e-collar on?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just now starting e-collar training? If that's the case, your dog's going to be on a long line or a leash with a prong. So then I'd probably have the prong and the e-collar. And then the flat's up to you. To be extra cautious, sure, like do it. Whatever makes you feel good. If your dog's a scaredy cat, yeah, it's probably a good idea to have that flat on it. But it's totally up to your preference and the training, really. Like, I can't tell you what to do, but to be the most cautious, yes, have all three if your dog's doing leash training. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. I was deciding if I wanted to grab her e-collar, but I'm not going to. So it really, like you said, depends on the situation, like a lot. Anyone who knows me, I always err on the side of caution. I am a little bit of a worrywart. But when Guy's inside, she's naked. She doesn't wear any collars unless I'm working her or unless I have like reason to. So if she's having a day where she's like trying to push things with me, then yeah, I'll throw her e-collar on her and like put her in a command. But usually she's under verbal control. Like she doesn't need her collars over inside, just chilling. When we go outside, like just in my yard, she just wears her e-collar. But I have bought a special name tag for her e-collar. So her e-collar has a name tag on it. It's really cool one. Let me just get it because I kind of want to tell all of my clients to get these because
They're awesome.
I never want a dog to be lost and not be able to find its way back home. And if you're out with your dog and they're on their e-collar, then they're fine. So if we're just like in my yard or something, she's got this super cool little name tag attached to her e-collar. So in my yard, in my front yard, backyard, whatever, she's just got her e-collar on.
Awesome.
If she ever needs to be in a situation where she is on leash, then of course she'll wear her prong collar. And then again, because I'm a worrywart, if I'm ever going out somewhere with her, especially somewhere new, so if I'm going to the park with her or when I went to the beach with her, then I also have her flat collar on just because it's got a dangly name tag, which people are going to see a lot quicker than this one. But yeah, up to you and your preference level. I always try to encourage my clients to have some sort of identification on your dog at all times. That's why this works out great because she wears this outside no matter what. So she's always got identification on.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the flat collar, if Guy's just got this one with her ID and her prong collar, she doesn't need a flat collar. So like when we go on walks, I don't have her flat collar on her. If you've got a dog who's ever popped a prong before, like maybe a super reactive dog, I would say, yeah, have your flat collar on and have a backup from your prong collar to your flat collar. But if your dog's super awesome, they're great in their heel, they're off leash trained, like e-collar training is sweet, then I guess you don't need the flat collar. But for like the 15th time, I would encourage having identification on your dog somehow because
right.
I could never imagine my dog being lost and not being able to find her. We were talking about that the other day. We don't ever see that happening, but like if it does, if someone scoops her up or whatever, I want her to have her information on her.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll scooch over to question 5.
Woohoo.
When can I start taking my 4-month-old puppy out in public? I want her to be my therapy dog.
All right, so that's 16 weeks. Susan, you may need to back me up here because it's been a while since I've talked about like vaccination records. But from what I remember, and just Susan will correct me if I'm wrong here for this part of what I'm saying. 16 weeks old, I'm pretty sure it's safe to take them out. You just want to make sure they're where they're supposed to be with their shots. I think at 16 weeks, you're not supposed to take them to super trafficky dog areas. I could be wrong. Like, I think like when I worked at the daycare, dogs came in at 12 weeks, but we like were super sanitary for like young puppies to be there. I've heard like taking young puppies to like box pet stores isn't good, but at 16 weeks, they might be okay. Right, Susan? I don't know. Right?
Yeah,
Health-wise?
so the final vaccinations are done at 15 to 16 weeks.
Okay.
And that being that would be the distemper vaccine, which is the most important one because it helps prevent against parvo. So anyway, the final vaccination of the series is the most important. So at 12 weeks old, I wouldn't take my dog out like to be around other dogs. Like you can take them, like you can do walking with them outside, like that kind of thing. but I would not take that puppy like anywhere where there's been a large number of other dogs, because they haven't had their final distemper vaccine, and the final distemper vaccine is the most important. So even if you're like, well, my dog had distemper at 12 weeks, it's like, well, that's cool, but that doesn't help prevent again. Like that doesn't do final immunity like for a year. So 15 to 16 weeks, if they've had their final distemper and their rabies, hopefully, then yeah, I'd take them. I want to say anywhere and everywhere, but like I'm not gonna take them to the dog park because that's like disease ridden.
Gross, anyways.
But you can take them out in public and expose them to things. That's when I would feel comfortable. So
Nice.
15 to 16 weeks, I would feel comfortable taking them out because they've had their final distemper. And give it like, I would wait a week after the final distemper vaccine.
Nice.
So 16 weeks would be the soonest you'd be able to take them out. Because the first couple days they'll be sore and you want to give it time to like be effective. So wait at least a week after the final distemper before you take them out in public.
But yeah. I just wanted to make sure because I'm like, I kind of forgot the dates. Yeah, it's kind of crazy then to hear you say that, to think that at my last job, puppies were coming in at 12 weeks. But anyways, so yes, for safety reasons, you're going to want to make sure your dogs are all of their shots and they have their final distemper, like Susan let us know, not just having started the process. So do that. And then, yeah, at 16 weeks, what was the question? Can I take my dog out because I want him to be my therapy dog?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had a nice trainer's talk, which I'm still working on editing and putting out little clips here and there. We did talk about this because I had a genuine question. I was with this trainer who is getting into training therapy dogs and service dogs. And I asked her, I said, so for me as a pet dog trainer and my obedience training, when I talk about socialization, I talk about just wanting my dog to exist in the world. So when I say I want to socialize my dog with other dogs or with people, I don't mean taking him to the dog park, or I don't mean taking him to the mall and letting everyone pet him. I just mean I want my dog to be comfortable in those situations.
Right.
So I asked her, I said, so for therapy dog work, where it's going to be literally the dog's job to be pet and to be like loved on, I asked her if that looks differently. Does socialization for her look like what most people think socialization means, right? Mm-hmm. And what she said is she said that, yes, take your dog out, but like, no, just like we would. Not everyone and their uncle doesn't need to come over and pet my dog. And with a puppy, you're going to have really firm boundaries with that because everyone and their uncle is going to want to pet your dog. Mm-hmm. So yes, take your dog out, let them see the world, but don't let your dog be bombarded by people. And I just want to let your dog meet any other dogs just in general. So there's that. And then start your, as far as therapy dog work, just going to dive into this, start basic obedience training. Like that's all. Just focus on your basic obedience training. I would look into what corporations you're going to work with and what groups, because some groups allow some tools and some don't. So you want to make sure you're clear on that. If you have a hospital that's your end goal to go to, make sure you're clear on their rules of what tools the dogs can wear, because they have rules too. Weird. So make sure you've got all that lined up. Do your obedience training that will line up with whichever therapy group you're working with, and then train your dog like normal obedience. The main difference would be here, what she said, is let's just say every fourth person who asks to pet your dog, you can say yes to them and let some people start to pet your dog. So again, not everyone gets to see your dog because we don't want your dog to think everybody you pass is going to come pet you. But every now and then someone is going to get the chance to pet you. So I know I went like way in depth there because you said like therapy dog, and I'm like, ooh, I have new information.
That's so interesting.
So, right? I was like, because I really thought she was going to tell me like, yeah, everyone gets to pet my dogs. I take them out and for socialization. But it's like pretty similar to what we do, like just exist. And every now and then people are going to pet you and cool things happen when they do. But as far as age, yes, the sooner you start, the better. Just be safe and make sure your dog's got all their shots. And I know I just like took an hour to answer a question that should have been done in 5 minutes, but I do that a lot.
That's all right.
Did you have anything else to add, Susan? Sorry.
No. No, that was it. Yeah, sorry. You can start taking them out 16 weeks.
Cool. Okay, next question. Sorry, I feel like I just lost like an hour on that one. Oh my gosh. I don't know why.
You're excited to share your therapy news.
Yeah, because I learned. Okay. Question 6. All right, so my dog doesn't love kids and gets overwhelmed in loud situations. Other than that, she's fully trained. What should I do?
Okay, so start desensitizing. You said she's fully trained, so I'm assuming she knows like the basic commands, whether it be like just a down or place. Um, so I would start desensitizing her to kids and loud noises and things, right? If that's the only place she struggles, that's awesome because she has all the foundation work. So what I did with Jack, my board and train that I had, that he lashed out like at kids that were active. I took him to the playground. I told him to lay because lay is like a stay. So I told him to lay, and then he just has to exist with these kids running around. Now I'm going to advocate for him. So children did come over to him because he's so cute and asked to pet him, and I said no, he's in training, but thanks for asking. But that shows the dog like, oh, like this stuff's going to go on. I have to behave, but you're going to make sure they don't come to me. And I'm like, yep. And it's really cool because then you have like that wordless communication, but they understand like you will have their back. These crazy things will go by. Nothing will happen. Now, if Jack would have lashed out, so I hold him accountable for his lay. So if he breaks a lay, I'm going to say no and correct. But if he would go after the kid, like jump and lunge, like that's a punishable offense. So that would be different than like breaking his command, because I do like a more severe consequence for that. So I would probably do a nice firm leash pop because that's directional. But it really depends on what your dog does in those situations, if they fight or flight. So if your dog just flights, then just hold them accountable for their commands and desensitize them to all that noise and stimulation.
Mm-hmm. 100% agree with everything you said. Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. And then I was going to add something to that. Oh, yeah. And then just to emphasize, advocate for your dog. You know your dog's in a stressful, scary situation. No one, I don't care who they are, no one's going to come and pet your dog right now. They're working. They need to feel safe in their down, right? Or in their lay. They need to feel safe in their command and not have to worry about anything else. Their only focus is holding that command. Okay? But yeah, 100% agree with everything you said. Gaia doesn't love kids either. So I've taken her to the park. I want to do it more often, but like no one was wearing their masks at that park, so I don't really want to go back there again. But we did kind of like sit a little bit to the distance, and I just had her down, and people were riding their skateboards past us, and she just had to exist in her down. It's just a desensitization, and it's awesome that your dog's fully trained, because it is just going to be as simple as, not simple, but just work them in their commands around these things and advocate for them. Because they're going to learn,
Right.
They're going to learn, like you said, that handler, owner, whoever, they're going to take care of me. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's where you see the magic happen, really, because then you build even like a more strong relationship because the dog really gets comfortable around you, and that's when the dog will be in a lay or whatever, and they're like this. And little kids will be running around screaming, and the dog doesn't care. Why? Not because they're like terrified of getting corrected, right? Because they're pretty chill right now. It's because like every time this happens, nothing ever happens to me, so
Right.
I'm just gonna fall asleep. It's really cool to see. So.
And just one more thing to add, because you're like, every time this happens, because this is something I'm guilty of, because again, it's not like a huge issue for Gaia, but I took her to the park once. We haven't been back since. It's been like a week. The more often you can do this, the better, because again, like Susan said, every time this happens, you want the dog to literally, like, to humanize the dog for a minute here, right? You want him to be like, oh, at the park again, guess I'm gonna like take a sleep in my down or take a sleep in the lay now, because been here like 10 times already. I don't care. Like, this isn't important. It's like flooding or desensitization. Like, I really could not care less, because I know from all of these reps, these kids aren't gonna hurt me because my owner's gonna advocate for me. But yeah, that's super cool. Super cool. Love dog training.
All right. What is the best way to get my dog to be calm in the car? He paces, whines, and jumps into the front seat.
So, the best way, sure, there's a lot of ways to do it. I mean, you could just crate your dog in the car. Best way. How I would approach that is with a low level dial up. Low level dial up is super cool, super annoying sometimes, because like it takes a while sometimes. Susan and I, we love it a lot. But it is a really cool thing. So there's this trainer, what's her name? Leader, Pack Leader Dog Training, I think. She's on YouTube.
Yeah, something.
She's got a great low-level dial-up video explaining how to do it. But basically what it is it's a pattern that you do on the e-collar where, I'll just show you because I'm holding it, where you start down at like a 1 or a 2. You can't see. You tap, spin up a little bit. Tap, spin up a little bit. Tap, spin up a little bit. And what that does, and watch her video in more detail, you do this pattern over and over. Dog lies down, pattern stops. So what the dog learns over time is I feel this pattern, I lay down. I feel this pattern, I lay down. So it's basically like a wordless down, or like Susan's down command, right? Super cool. So you get into the car, you have your dog down, and then you're driving, whatever. Now, you're not going to want to just jump right into that because I got ahead of myself because I just wanted to like brag about how awesome your video was.
Thank you.
If you do
I had
crate
some chick, like Rachel somebody, she edited it for me. So,
oh, did she? Wow, that
Yeah.
fight looks so good.
Yeah.
She still hasn't gotten around to making one for herself though, so that's why yours is just amazing. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So if you crate train your dog already, it's gonna help transition over because you're gonna make the back of your car just like a giant crate. So there's gonna be rules. We're gonna walk up to the car, you have to sit, I'm gonna open the trunk, I'm gonna tell you brake, you can jump in, I'm gonna help you into your down.
I have a video of it.
Oh, you do? Oh yeah, with Jack, right? Did you make it for Jack? That's a good one. So basically just watch Susan's YouTube and then you'll be fine because she's just got everything. But just make it structured, right? So I would practice not even leaving the house. So I would get in the habit of just going out, having your dog sit, opening the trunk, popping in, laying down. Okay? And your dog doesn't get out until you say break. So then you say break and they hop out, you walk away, you walk back, you do it again. Do that a few times. Because first off, your dog's probably like crackhead, crazy excited because you get in the car and you're going somewhere fun. Or they think you're going somewhere fun. So let's not make it that exciting. Let's just do it every day. We're not going anywhere. We're just doing these drills. Then you're going to get in the car and you're going to practice low leveling your dog into a down. Or if you're like Susan and you train down to mean like settle down and not like an implied stay, you can even tell your dog down. But I'll let her like touch on that more. But you can train in the car just like you can anywhere else. Right? And then if you can have someone else drive while you do this, because like, you know, don't text and drive, don't e-collar and drive, I guess. Don't e-collar and drive. So Susan, what do you think? How would you better explain the words I just said as you usually do?
So treat your car like a kennel, like Rachel said. No, place. I'm pretty sure my
dog training.
I'm pretty sure my dog Little was in a place. And she got up and I was like, I'm pretty sure in your place. So I just said no and then place and she went back on there. So she didn't actually get a correction because my no has value. But yeah, so I just did. Anyway, so I'm going to treat the car like a kennel, like Rachel said. So there's manners. We approach the car, which is now a giant kennel. We sit. I open the door, brake to have you get in. So now if this is the first time, I'm going to practice how we approach the car nice and calm. So do it in steps. If your dog is doing well, you can advance by each step. But if your dog even struggles getting to the car and sitting, and every time you open the door, they jump in, you're going to have to just do that for like right now. Okay? So perfect the picture that you want before you can build onto that picture. So make sure approaching the car is that perfect picture you want before you now add the next segment. So when you open the back, like I have an SUV, so when you open the hatch, dogs should remain sitting. They don't get up into the car until you say break or up, whichever word. It's just a word. So when you say your release word, they get up into the car, and now you're going to pattern a down position. So at first, with most of my guys, because I don't do a lot of low-level dial-up, because I teach the word down, so I don't do a lot of low-level dial-up. I'm going to get them in the car, and then just leash pressure them down. Going to say good, give you a reward, then break. So we're going to pattern that. Right when you get in the car, you lay down. Get in the car, lay down. Get in the car, lay down. And then when I utilize the low-level dial-up is as I'm closing the hatch. because I can't hold on to your leash now. You're in the car. So as I'm closing the hatch, if they get up out of the down, I'm going to low level them down, right? And so you practice each sequence to get it to look, perfect, right? Another thing I utilize in the car, though, is a tie back. So fortunately, I have an SUV, which has those little clips on the side, so I'll hook the
Love
leash
those
on.
clips.
Right? I always wondered, like, what the hell are you going to use this for? I'm never going to use these clips
Love
pre-dog
them.
training. But now it's like, wow, love those clips. Okay, so I tie back the leash. That way, as I go to close the door and then walk to my driver's side door, the dog doesn't stand up and jump in the front seat now. So utilize the tie back and then just practice getting in your car and having them be in a down position. So even you can pair the two. As you're low leveling, if the dog's just standing there, say down. And then when the dog's down, then you stop low leveling. So they'll learn, even in the car, that low level means to down. Once that looks good, now you're going to practice driveway drills. So literally you're just backing up out of, like backing in your driveway, pulling in your driveway, backing in the driveway, pulling in the driveway. Because then they realize, like, when the car's in motion, I still have to be laying down.
Right.
Next step is not even going anywhere. Like, there's no destination. So I'll just drive around my neighborhood because there's no lights. There's just stop signs. There's not a lot of traffic. So, like, if the dog does break, I can literally, like, pull over or whatever. But just utilize caution there if you don't have somebody that's driving for you, because driving and low leveling down, like, I have it down, and I'm sure Rachel would, but like, you are going to be fumbly bumbly. So
She's in low level 2 dogs at the same time. She's got it down.
I did.
We did that in Rhode Island, and I'm like, I had first gotten there. Sorry, side note. I had first gotten to Rhode Island. You walked into the back room because we were about to go do social, and you were like, picked up 2 e-collars and just started low leveling 2 different dogs down, and I was like, and you're like,
really?
I just wanted to see if I could do it. Yes, you don't remember? You were like, I just wanted to see if I could do it. I never did that before. And I'm like, geez, show off. And meanwhile, at the time, I had just learned low level, so I'm like sitting here with 2 hands doing it, and now I'm just like,
That's so funny.
But yeah, I think that was explained like extremely well, because I always just kind of like, blah, and you're like, let me actually explain this stuff for y'all. So thank you.
Well, I feel bad because then my answer is still like 20 minutes long. So I'm like, I try to make it shorter, but it just doesn't. You just can't.
Yeah, and we want to give y'all everything we can and help everybody as much as we can. So that's fine. So I wasn't actually planning on doing this, and Susan's gonna be like, what the heck, Rachel? But I want to do something cool really quick, right? Okay, hold on. It's just something stupid. Before I move on to question number 8, because we're about halfway through, I'm always curious to see who watches these. Okay? So I'm gonna post an Easter egg, right? Have you ever seen people do these? When I post this, after I post this post, so maybe I'll do it Tuesday night or Wednesday, I'm gonna post a picture of Gaia right now because she's like got her head hanging out of her crate and she's super cute, okay? So I'm going to post this picture of her tomorrow. It's just going to be a cute picture. I'm going to post it on my Instagram and on my Facebook. I'll probably caption it, guys being cute or something, but I'm going to put, do you know why I posted this? So if you're watching this right now, I want you to comment the emoji. I think there's an emoji of like a chicken breaking out of an egg or something, or like an Easter egg thing. Or like comment that you posted this because of your Q&A or something. Because I want to see if anybody watches this. So then when nobody comments it, I'm going to know. Just kidding.
Okay,
but yeah.
so an Easter egg.
And then I was gonna say, do you have one? Yeah, like
the chick popping out. Okay. Yeah.
So, or something along the lines of a chicken or an egg, or comment something Easter egg themed, right, on my photo of Gaia that I'm gonna post after this Q&A goes up. And people are gonna be like, what are these chicken and eggs for? But because you watch my Q&A, you're gonna know.
No.
Yeah.
That's
pretty cool.
Really good.
So yeah, let's try out this Easter egg thing, and yeah. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay.
Of course,
question 8.
Yes, question 8. Just slide on like nothing ever happened. Okay, so Susan. When I recall my dog with other people around, she just goes to them and sits right next to them and won't come to me. When it's just me and her off-leash recall is perfect. What do I do?
Okay, so you added something. So it's just, every time you add something, you have, hold on, how's that go? when
I
you
know what you're
add something,
saying.
yes, when you add something, take a step back. And what I mean is when it's just you two, dog and person, 2 players, dog's on point, okay? You add a distraction, another person, now there's 3. So you added something, take a step back and put the leash back on because your dog needs guidance. So anytime we, like, just make it a little bit easier for her because every time you recall her, she goes to another person, put the leash on and just help her out. That's going to be the easiest thing to do. Because you're right, you can't follow through really. I mean, we're able to like work through that. But like a normal person, you're going to need the leash to help guide her. So have her on a long line, recall her, she's going to go over to your Uncle Jim, you're going to say no, and I don't know what stage of e-collar stuff you're on, but you're going to say no, follow through, and then use a leash to guide her over to you. And then still, when she gets to you and sits, reward, right? So recall is like one of the things, like, until the dog's like graduated, and like even then, I'll still reward them for coming to me because recall is really important. So
Yeah,
when
I'm the
she
same
comes to
way.
you, yeah, even though it was a little messy, I don't care. She did it, gets rewarded because every time you come to me, it's a freaking party. But that's what I would do. Just put the leash on, help her out.
I agree. Um, I don't actually really have anything to say. I just agree with what you said. If you want, I don't want to shock you too much. Don't get frustrated because in your dog's defense, they're like, okay, recall, go to a person, right? Because when it's just you and them, that's the picture. Recall, go to a person. They might just be confused. So help them through that. It's fine. Don't be discouraged and do exactly what Susan said. And after a while, your dog will learn recall means come to who called them.
Right.
Cool.
Nice.
Very nice.
Well, that was easy. Okay, you ready for this one?
Oh gosh, how long?
No.
Okay.
Because you've had so many like in-depth questions that we spend 20 minutes answering. So I finished it out with a nice one.
Oh, nice.
How often should you trim a dog's nails?
So, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. So my go-to, so if your dog's got long nails and you're trying to get the quick to go back, from what I've heard, is every 2 weeks. You should like try to Dremel them back. I guess clipping works the same way. I just use a Dremel. But I've heard that every 2 weeks get the quicks to go back. I've been doing that with Gaia, and I've not really seen that yet. But I haven't been doing it for that long, so I'm gonna keep doing it with her every 2 weeks. If your dog if your dog doesn't have really long nails and it's not like an issue, I would either maybe say once a month or maybe say once your dog's nails look like they need it. You thought it was gonna be easy this season. I will overcomplicate everything. Test me. What do you think?
So normal nail trims every 4 to 6 weeks.
Close.
Every 4 to 6 weeks. Yep. And then, like Rachel said, if the quicks are long and you're looking to get load length, like trimmed back, every 2 weeks. But I would say 50% of the time that does not work. Your dog just has really long nails. Yep. But it's possible. So you still have a chance. Honestly, what we would do at the vet hospital, which is just information you don't need.
I don't want to hear it. It's going to be gross, isn't it?
Maybe.
Sorry,
I mean, we didn't think so. But anyway, okay. I don't know if I should say it now. But so for dogs, it's like, it's not working because I had a greyhound that same thing. I Dremel her nails every 2 weeks. Doesn't matter. Quick didn't recede. Her nails were long. So when she went under for a dental procedure, we trimmed them suckers back.
Nice.
Like, because she's under anesthesia, she's going to be on pain meds anyway. We trimmed them back short, and then you get it done, like, right there. And then you can do maintenance.
Keep growing, or will the nail grow like normal from that point, and then you just, like you said, do maintenance of the nail? The quick isn't going to just keep growing weird, is it? What? I guess it worked, then never mind. Ignore me. Don't talk to me. That's smart, though, since the dog was already under and was getting pain meds. Okay.
Yeah, because it's going to, we're going to trim them back shorter than you could at home. So we're going to trim them back real short. And then after the procedure, if your vet did do that for you, then let's say you probably will want to trim them maybe 3 weeks later just to see what you get. Like, if they look long enough to trim them at 3 weeks, and then see if you can do just like every 3 week nail trims. But it depends on the dog. But yeah, that's what we would do sometimes.
That's
because
smart.
50%
But I mean,
of the time, yeah.
in some situations when the nails are so long that it's hurting the dog's feet, like you got to do something. You can't mess around and try this 2 week thing forever because your dog's, but go to your vet for that.
Right.
Interesting though.
I have some good stories about that actually, but
Oh yeah.
we'll have to do like a vet. We'll have to do like a vet tech Q&A once. Like you can just talk to me about like vet tech stuff.
Yes, and I'll sit here and be like, "That's so gross," but I'm amazed. Keep
Right?
talking. So I
And
can
I'll
do
have pictures. I'll be like, look, this is a bladder stone.
I'm gonna look over here while y'all check that out. I can't handle that stuff. People always told
I
me I should be
love
a vet, and it's like I can't. I'm sorry. But thanks for bursting that bubble. I really thought this whole 2 week thing was gonna work. I'll keep it up though because I'm getting like
that.
her nails when I trim them every 2 weeks. Still getting a good little bit off, so whatever. Her nails look hideous. It looks like I don't keep my dog taken care of in pictures.
Ah,
Her nails are just
hate
so
that.
bad. I know, it's like I promise guys, I trim her nails every 2 weeks. All right, Susan, you ready for question 10?
Ready.
Okay. Susan, are you sure you're ready? Okay, so what to look for when looking for a trainer? So what should somebody look for when they're looking into having somebody train their dog?
Depends. What do you want?
Is their name
What do
Paxton
you
Dog Training or Rachel Kohler Dog Training?
Yeah, stop there. No, it depends what you're looking for. Honestly, are you looking? I mean, this is all personal opinion, I guess, and everything is personal opinion. Like all of these questions and answers is my personal experience. So I'm gonna answer my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in like trick training and that kind of thing? Or are you interested in like real world training where you can take them out to a soccer game, you can take them to a family reunion, you can take them to the park, and your dog's gonna be on point. They're gonna listen to you and just be like really confident and that kind of thing. If you're more for the flashy like sport doggy things or like trick training, then I would go, like just look into like the trainers that have results. Like make sure that their dogs are on point. Can their dogs handle like those tricks? Have they worked with other dogs? And that's when it doesn't matter their training style. If they have results, good. But the pure positive, as they call themselves, they do really good at that. Like they would do really good trick training, sport kind of stuff, awesome, on point. But if you want more of like the real world dog training where it's just like you want your dog to exist and be able to take them anywhere, I would look for a balance trainer. And I only say that because of the results that I've seen with balance trainers. I have not seen that. I'll just leave it at that. Balance training would be the way to go. So you want someone that they're known to be able to stop bad behaviors, but then also work a scared dog through something. So look to see if do they have content out there where they've shown results? Do they have reviews? Have they posted videos where people had results? Like that kind of thing. Because you want to know that it's not just talk. They've actually had results, and here's this person that, look, this dog was doing this, and now their dog's great. So that would be my best advice. Find a nice balanced trainer that you can see has had results. And then just talk with them and see if it feels right. So I'm all about like vibes and what feels true to you. So when you meet with this person and you're like, but like they did have good results, but I don't know. But they did have, no.
Just your gut.
You're feeling some sort of way, don't do it. But if you meet with somebody and you're like, wow, like I feel really good about that. Well, they don't have a lot of content up, but I felt really good. You felt really good about it. So you can take a chance with them. You don't necessarily have to do like a full program if you don't want to. You can always do like a single session if they offer it. And but really like it has to feel right to you. What do you think?
Yeah, so I liked everything you said. I was making a few notes as you were talking so I didn't forget. But the first thing I would put is reviews. So check to see if they've got any reviews. And then you're gonna want to look for someone who's like super open and honest. Now again, it's gonna be kind of hard to tell, but it's 2021. Glad to say that. But in this day and age, most businesses should have a social media page. Check out their social media, check out their website, look at what they do. Is it just cute pictures of dogs? Are they posting all day? Are they only ever posting the after?
Okay, don't attack me, Rachel. because today all I posted was a cute picture of my dog that I'm training.
And guess
So
what? It was a super cute picture. But is that all you post, Susan? Because I'm pretty sure you
today,
just posted an awesome how-to video, and y'all need to go watch it because Susan's amazing, and her how-to series is about to be awesome.
it's gonna explode with awesomeness.
So don't sass me. Yeah. Okay. That was a thing from the last Q&A, if you know why we did that. So you want to make sure they're open and honest. Do they post videos of them training? Do they talk about, are they a balanced trainer, which is of course what we are? So do they use tools? Do they talk about those tools? Yes, ma'am.
I have another thing to add.
No.
Do they talk about how, like, I do like the trainers that talk about that they give their information.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me really hesitant when a trainer's like, well, I wouldn't do it that way. Like they're kind of attacking another trainer where they're like, I wouldn't train that way. I would do it, in a more
I'd do
whatever
it
way.
better.
Yeah. And then when you say, well, how would you do it? Because I like to learn and grow, like maybe your way is going to be more beneficial for a certain dog. And they're like, well, I'm more than happy to discuss that with my paying clients. I'm like, really? Like,
So it's a
honestly?
secret?
Right.
Like we do these free Q&As for a reason. We want to put content out there for anyone who wants to watch them. Susan just put in, I don't know how much time it took you to make that amazing video, but like she put in her time making an awesome how-to video because that's how much she cares about the dogs and the owners, right?
Right.
So I think like that says something too. So that's a good point.
Right. So, and like if you go to like some of the trainers that I follow, whatever, if you go to their stories, most of the time it's their stories because those are less, I don't want to say professional, but they're not as, you don't have to be so perfect in them. Whereas if I put a how-to video, it's going to be pretty professional, like whatever. So if you go to their stories, they'll actually tell you like, hey, I'm working with this dog and this is what I did for them and it's working. Or like they're willing to share their tips and they're telling you. But when trainers act all secretive, like, do you want to stop your dog from constantly barking and attacking other dogs? Hit me up. And you're like, well, that's cool, but like, can you tell me a little bit about how you train?
Right, can you just like post it?
Yeah, because you don't. I mean,
I
you don't
hate
even
those.
necessarily.
They're always sponsored on my page, because dog training page, of course, I get dog training ads. Always
Yeah.
get the sponsors of, oh, this is how you fix this. Sign up today, and I'm like, or not, this is how you fix this, but you have this problem, we can fix it. Like, sign up today. Like, I'll be like, hey, we'll just do a free Q&A and I'll tell you how to fix it.
Right.
And if you want more help after that, hit us up.
Right, because even I think, not that we're going to this big long rant now, but like people might be afraid if they share their talent, they're going to have less. They're not going to have any clients because everyone's going to be able to do it on their own, or they're going to lose clients, whatever. But that's not how the world works. If you give, you will receive. So like I want to help people because then they can help themselves and then that will come back to me, like, so if you give, you will receive. If I'm going to hoard all my knowledge and information, it's going to push people away. Like that doesn't look good.
Right.
And dog training is hard. So if you can do it by yourself with my information, kudos to you. Like bam pow, because that's insane.
Right.
Because it's really hard to get every single nuance. So I'm giving you this information to hopefully make a difference. But like I know I'm still going to have a job because my skill set is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still going to be useful for like people that can't implement it. Because, and honestly, some people just don't want to, which is cool because I could change my oil in my car if I wanted to. I have no desire to do that whatsoever. Please take my money and do it for me because that is not something I want to do. And like people think about that with dog training. Like that's cool that you can, like they're not as passionate as me and Rachel, right? So go ahead.
I was just gonna add to that, and like that's one of the reasons I really want to do my how-to series because that's my like big goal for 2021 to put out full how-to series, right? Susan's beat me to the first video, but it's okay. I'm gonna catch up to her. But because people, yeah, sure, if I put this out there on the internet, it's for the whole world to see. So if somebody in Texas sees this video and trains their dog how to sit from watching my how-to video, how cool is that? But then if somebody down the street from me sees that video and really like vibes with my training style, because I want to be transparent, like this is how I train a dog how to sit. And if they're like, wow, that looks really cool, but like like Susan says, like, I don't want to train my dog to sit. I just want him to sit when I tell him to sit. Then sure, hit me up. But like now you got to see like the behind the scenes, right? Because it's not behind the scenes, out in the open, right? You got to see it. Does that feel cool for you? Do you like the way I do things? Sure, hit me up. Or if you're in Texas, yeah, watch my video and hit me up if you have questions. I don't know. But yeah, so I like what you said about the oil.
It's true. Like,
I
I just have, or like painting your house. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's like, no, thank you. Someone take my money and do it for me. You know, like,
right.
but was that the end of the questions? Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, for a trainer. Okay, so since Rachel's like shaking it up, I'm gonna shake it up too. So
Okay.
if you guys ever wondered like what my environment, I guess, looks like, so I'm sitting on my couch here, and then I'll just show you Took, the dog that I'm training. He's on his place bed over there. He's in a place. Sadie's on the stairs over there. I don't know if you can see her over there. And then Little, she's on her place bed as well. And then we got this little guy over here. So
Kitty.
he's cute. But I was like, you know what? If you watch this whole Q&A, I always love watching like the trainers that I followed, and like if I can get any, like it was cool to see like their space, because all you ever see is like this box. So I was like, why don't I just show you guys what it looks like? Yeah.
I'm not gonna show y'all because my desk is a mess right now. Maybe next week. But yeah, it's funny. So just because you said that, I want to share a little bit more because again, if somebody watched, I don't know, an hour and a half of us talking, then they can just know everything. When Susan and I interned somewhere north, right? We've said it, in Rhode Island. What state we're in. When we interned with said trainer in Rhode Island, said trainer did a podcast a few days a week, and it was like on YouTube, and like you could like you just saw the same background like every day, right? So we one time sat in on that live, and it was insane because it's not at all what you would think it would look like. Like, I'm just gonna say this because it's funny. I don't really care. Like the lights were off. They only had like studio lights shining. So it was funny to like, haha, behind the scenes, like they sit in a dark room with no lights and just had the studio. So I thought it was weird. So it was weird when they said that. But like, okay, this is my desk. It's a mess. So there you go. That's all you get. I'm like OCD, so it's like I can't handle it.
Here's my
yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. This was fun. 16 Q&As, Susan.
This one was probably like the longest one yet.
I think it was, and my bad because I just decided to ramble in every one, and now we're talking. But hey, like seriously, if somebody's watching this, it'll be interesting because I want to also. Okay, I'm just gonna say this because we're just gonna say all the things right now. We're growing, right? We're getting new followers and getting new clients, and we're growing, and we're always gonna like whatever. But like we're not huge right now. Can you imagine like later when we get huge, right? Because we're gonna be, because we're really good at what we do. Let me stop. Like if people rewatch these, because said trainer, like I would rewatch old podcasts, like old ones. So like somebody could watch this like way down the line. So like right now it's January 11th, 2021. If anyone ever watches this down the line, tell me because I will laugh and it will be really cool.
It'll be like 2024 and they'll be like, oh my God, your January podcast was so great.
Right? They're going to be like, y'all were so like little then. Like what?
Right?
5 years later. So I just figured, let me just throw that out there because the internet is forever. So people will see this later. So, right. Okay. Well, don't forget about the Easter egg. I will be posting a picture of her. She's not in a cute position anymore, but it'll be some sort of picture of her sleeping in her crate or something. And it'll be like, why did I post this?
Nice.
Comment your little emoji to let me know if you watched it and know why. Anything else you want to add, Susan?
No, it was great.
So thank you everybody for watching. Keep asking us your questions because if you can't tell by the fact that we talked for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, God, how long have we been talking? If you can't tell, we love these. We love helping. We love spreading information like we just talked about on question number 10. So keep asking. Like, follow, share. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Pack Leader Dog and Rachel Fuller Dog Training.
Bye. See ya.